Can I formally introduce you as award-winning sports writer?
Want to? Sure. Let's do it. Let's get live, man.
Is this going to increase my clout as well, doing this show with Kansas Sports Writer of the Year, Matt Tait?
Did I need it? No.
For me, though.
Yeah. But yeah, you needed something like this. You needed something like this.
It was big for me.
I hope you're very happy, and I hope you feel different today than you did yesterday, because you are different.
A little extra pep in my step this morning.
There you go.
Now, I don't know. I know this is pretty fresh, but I'm assuming you haven't given any sort of acceptance speech yet, correct?
No, not yet.
Well, then, you know what? Perfect way to start this episode. I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor. Why don't you give us your acceptance speech for being named Kansas Sports Writer of the Year?
Okay, so first of all, I have to thank...
This is Basketball Friends. He is Matt Tait. I am Nick Schwerdt. Kansas beats Oklahoma 67-64 down in Oklahoma. Third straight win in Big 12 play. And once again, as has become a theme, it was a gritty, ugly, grinded out sort of win. Ochai, who has been a National Player of the Year candidate all year long, starts 0 for 7. At one point, I wasn't sure if he was going to come back into the game, diving for a loose ball, runs into the scores table, hits his wrist, I think on the possession arrow, comes back in with it taped up. And he starts the game 0 for 7, Matt. But with 5 minutes and 37 seconds left on the clock, he goes 4 for 4, scores 10 of KU's last 17 points. And even though the box score wouldn't necessarily show it, we once again get another example of why he is transformed into one of the best players in the country.
That was some beast mode stuff by Ochai last night, and 10 points on a stat sheet's not going to show you that. I don't know if he's going to win National Player of the Year or not. Whether he does or doesn't, I hope last night factors into it. I hope that people recognize that way more than the 10 points or the 4 for 4 shooting, it was important that he was a gamer, man. I mean, and he's been that way all year. I think Ochai of the past, if he'd hurt himself in the game, he might have faded to the background. I think Ochai of the past, when he missed shots, would sort of fade to the background of games.
That's the big one, right? Because we've seen him disappear in moments where it just looks like he doesn't have it that night.
Yeah. And he did not fade last night. I mean, it was quite the opposite. He realized, I got to give my team something because they carried me through. We're still in this game. Time for me to go to work. Time for me to do what I do. Time for me to be the best player on this team. He did. They won. And that's why after the game, a pretty damn good player named Christian Braun was telling everybody who would listen, he's the best player in the country.
Well, in years past, it would have been easier for him to sort of fade away, knowing that, well, it's just not my night. I don't want to force it. There's other guys on this team who have earned their stripes as well. So let me just let them sort of take this one. And he said this multiple times in interviews this year, that when he decided to take his name out of the draft and come back for his senior year, he immediately knew the leadership role that he was going to be taking on. And it's not just that he's embraced that, it's that he seems to be good at it, because there are other guys in the past who we've seen want to be leaders and try to be leaders, but for whatever reason, whether it's personality type or they just didn't have the stones to do it, they didn't really fit into that role. And he is proving time and time again, not only is he embracing it, but it fits his style as well, which is huge for a team that has championship aspirations.
I remember watching him, second half of his freshman season. Obviously, everyone knows the story. He's redshirting. They yank the red shirt off. He comes in. And in his first or second game of that season, the first or second game he played, he's gathering his teammates up, veterans, seniors, leaders. He's gathering them up and having a conversation and telling them, this is what you do. This is what you do. As you mentioned, he hasn't always had to be that guy. There have been plenty of other leaders that have played that role for KU while Ochai's been here, but he is really good at it. It comes naturally to him. And it's so much more than just scoring points. He's doing that at an incredible level right now and has all season. If you want to be an All-American, you've got to be much more than one-dimensional, and he is. He's got it all. And I think showing that he can play through that type of injury and gut it out is just absolutely remarkable. And I think that kind of confidence spills over to the rest of the team. They believe, wow, we can maybe do anything because we got that guy. I'd
be remiss if I didn't mention that Christian's the one who ends up hitting the game winner. Yeah. And that was really cool to watch him turn around to those guys in the corner. If you go back and watch the video, it's not just that he turned around, and I don't know if he said anything or if he just stared at them, but those guys were so upset. One guy turns around and does like the little kid temper tantrum stomp.
Yeah,
damn it.
That's great.
Which has got to feel great if you know those guys are chirping at you the whole game and be able to not just be on their home court, hit the game winner, but turn around and be like, yep, Bye-bye.
See ya. Yeah. And it wasn't all game. I mean, but he did have some moments with that corner. And I don't know if they showed it on TV or on the video, the replays. I don't think on the replays it's there, but he stared at him. He said what he said. He's having fun with it. Then he celebrates with his team at midcourt as they're coming off to the timeout, right? And as he walked from about midcourt to the bench, he gave one more look over there and it was nasty. I mean, it was an icy glare. He's just like, yeah, you're still watching because I still hit that shot. It was unbelievable. So every team needs that guy. I don't care what sport it is. I don't care if it's volleyball.
KU hasn't had one in a while.
No. And every team needs one. Much like Ochai and how leadership comes naturally to him, that stuff comes naturally to Christian Braun. He loves that moment. He lives for that moment.
So the third player I think we should talk about is Jalen Wilson, who for the second time in 4 games crossed the 20-point mark. I think what I more want to focus on is these last 2 games. I think you could argue he has been KU's best, most consistent player. It may be a half-baked theory, but I think there is a direct correlation between Jalen starting to get into a groove this year, starting to play like the guy we saw last season, and Remy not having as big of a role. Remy's missed 2 of the last 4 games. He only played 15 minutes against Oklahoma. 13 of those were in the first half. With him not on the court, you're seeing Jalen become more of a secondary ball handler, which was a role that he sort of fit into last year without a true point guard. It seems like he's been trying to figure out what his role is and where he fits with all these different moving parts on this year's team. Now it seems like he's maybe getting into a bit of a groove. My question becomes, is this sustainable? Can he coexist with the other ball handlers, or is this just a product of the unique circumstances KU's been in the last couple weeks?
Yeah, I think he can, because I think they're different, right? DeJuan Harris handles the ball for this reason, and that's to get others shots, right? And to be the guy who distributes and kind of can be the guy who runs things. Ochai can handle the ball, but usually does it within the flow of the offense. Christian can handle the ball, but usually does it, if he's putting it down, it's to attack. I think the big question becomes not whether he can sustain it. I think he can. I think he's hit that level. The button has been engaged and he's on his way now to finishing with a really big season. But I think the question that you have to ask is, if Remy gets healthy and is back and everything's good there, can he fit in as that 4th option? Because if he can, and it doesn't matter on any given night, it could be 1 through 4, however you want to list it. But if you've got Jalen, Ochai, and CB playing the way they're playing right now, and then you put the Remy Martin, who is the Remy Martin that everybody knows, it doesn't matter who your 5 is at that point. I mean, that's going to be a handful for any team. And I don't know if they'll get there or not, but if they do, that's how you realize that all of that talk in the preseason about national title contenders, it's right there. I think those 3 are locked in right now. I think they've got it figured out. I think they're absolutely where they need to be and continuing to trend upward. If they can find a way to fit Remy into that, this team can be as good as they ever wanted to be.
I'm going to be honest with you, Matt. I think this has been a good episode, seeing as how you now have some pull in the awards community.
Submit it.
I don't know who you need to talk to, but
submit it. Should we do it? Should we?
Go ahead.
You need this.